and welcome to Godly Geeks Studios. And this is our movie reviews.
Movie reviews.
Woo.
Movie reviews. No fancy title, just movie review.
That's it. That's all we got. On this episode, we are talking about Star Wars. So we're kind of leading up to the last Star Wars movie coming out in December. So we're going to be going through...
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise. So we're just kind of going through Star Wars movies and just talking about them, kind of giving our own opinions on them, and love to hear your opinions too. So this is episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yes. The most loved of Star Wars movies. So the plot of this film revolves around... There's this trade federation that's withholding supplies or something to the planet of Naboo, and the council on Naboo has sent 2 Jedis to renegotiate the trade, but the trade doesn't want to negotiate with Jedi, so they pretty much ended up enforcing a droid invasion with their droid army on the planet of Naboo, and then it's up to the Jedi to help save the Queen of Naboo, Queen Amidala. And meanwhile, while they're on this quest to save the people of Naboo, they end up on the planet Tatooine and find a young slave known as Anakin Skywalker, who the Jedi Master of the group, Qui-Gon Jinn, believes could have the potential to be the prophesied chosen one, meant to bring balance to the Force. And so they bring him along in the ways to possibly become a Jedi. So... what do you think of this film?
You know, it has some pretty good scenes. But in all, it's a very boring movie.
It really is.
I think my favorite scene, well, I have two of my favorite scenes is the pod races.
Pod races are really cool.
Oh, it's so good. And then the second one is the lightsaber duel. That scene within itself is, in my opinion, one of the best lightsaber battles in all of Star Wars. But other than that, it's pretty much just very political and very backgroundy. If that's even a word, I'm going to make it a word. In the sense of it just gives a lot of background to how we got to Episode 4, which is what started all of Star Wars. So it just kind of gives more of history behind what happened and how Anakin was found and how Anakin starts to become a Jedi and all that stuff. And so I mean, if you're a history buff and you really love history of background movies and the history of characters, this is a great movie for you. If you're looking for a lot of action and a lot of great plot lines and something that actually really adds a lot of flavor to a movie, no. I mean, honestly, I look at people, if they're not super into Star Wars and they're trying to get into Star Wars, I'm like, well, don't start with Episode 1 because you'll hate it. Start with Episode 4. You eventually have to work your way up to Episode 1 because I feel like you have to be a fan of the trilogy and of all of Star Wars to really even sit through this movie.
Yeah, I kind of have some of the same thoughts of... It's a very boring film, mostly just due to a lot of the political talk. I mean, there's a lot of films that like to... build up their universe with their in-universe lore. Only part, most people who watch a movie really don't care about politics. They don't care about trades and votes and senates and all that kind of junk, especially in a Star Wars movie. When you think Star Wars, you think starfighters flying around, lightsabers swinging all around, just these giant, fantastical worlds.
Yeah. And
meanwhile, this film is, we put it to a vote with the council, and here, let me go take you to the leader of the Gungans so you can discuss a trade with him. Just, no. That's very boring. I don't watch Star Wars to hear political talk.
And then also kind of what is interesting, because then it makes you get kind of mad too, in the sense of it shows the whole the war between letting Anakin become a Jedi or not, and how some people were yes, he's the chosen one, and how then there were some who were but he's too old, or he has too much fear, or whatever. So you see Yoda, who is I'm not sure about this. I don't really know if this is going to be a good decision. And the ones of us that know about the rest of the movies, have already watched 4, 5, and 6, we're yeah, this is a bad idea. But you see how like they go with, instead of using their like common sense and something that they know with inside, they kind of go with more of a, well, it's prophesied that he's the chosen one, and because he has all these, well, we have to do this. He's the chosen one, and I just feel like you should go more with. I would have listened to a much more. If it's between Yoda and another Jedi, I would listen to Yoda way more than I listen to somebody else telling me about somebody's character.
Mostly because due to the fact he's clearly got much more experience.
That, yeah,
because
exactly.
he's super old.
Well, and not just that, he's just very wise. And so Yoda is like, I sense much fear. Well, yes, there's a lot of fear in him. And you know that's the whole basis of how he became Darth Vader was because of fear. And so you're like, it kind of made me mad when I was watching it. Because I'm like, if they had just listened, none of this would have happened. Granted, if they had listened, then we wouldn't have episode 4, 5, and 6. So it's like, I'm glad you listened because we have great movies. But if you had listened, like, we wouldn't have all this death. One thing that this movie has is the favorite character.
Oh yes, the most beloved character of the entirety of Star Wars, Jar Jar Binks. That absolutely no one hates or sends death threats to the studio or anything.
No, this guy's incredible. Incredible! No.
He's incredible. He's a bomba.
No. That character within itself doesn't really need anything else except all I have to say is Jar Jar Binks, and you've already come up with your own conclusion.
I feel like the main problem with Jar Jar Binks is that they focus so much on putting the comedy on him, making him be the funny one, and therefore it makes everyone else look super boring because there's all going, blood will betray the Force.
Jar Jar Binks over here tripping.
And there's Jar Jar Binks going,
yeah.
Literally.
Literally that. I think that character was a missed opportunity, in my personal opinion.
How exactly?
If they had have made the movie not so political, or if they had made his voice not so annoying, or maybe not made him seem like such a clumsy nut, because if I've watched the movie many times, I've noticed that he's actually not as dumb as he comes off, and he's not as dumb as the movie makes him look, or because
he's just a huge klutz.
He's just very clumsy, but also he just says things and does things, and you're just like, why? But then he does other things like that are really smart, like when he takes Obi-Wan and
Qui-Gon.
I wanted to say Qui-Gon. He takes them to his land so they're safe, and then ends up taking them to, the Queen, and then his people actually help, fight in a battle. So it's like his character in the sense wasn't completely useless. It just was the way they made his character made him to be the most annoying thing to ever exist in Star Wars. And I just wish they had made his character better, because I think if they had made his character better, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. Now, not everybody agrees with that, so that's fine. Yeah, everyone has their own opinion.
But I think the one upside the movie really does have is that when it's not the political boring talk and it's the action stuff, it's really good action.
Yes.
Like the fight with Darth Maul, I don't think you're gonna fight me, is like one of the best Star Wars fights whatsoever. Just because the timing and every motion felt like it was perfectly timed out. The dude they got to play Darth Maul was flipping awesome.
And not just that, the emotion inside the whole scene is what gets you. Because, first you have this really awesome fight scene with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon. Did I say that correctly?
You did! You got it right for once!
Huzzah! Anyway, their scene, when they're fighting, is really, really intense. You're like, this is really good. And then you have the moment where he dies. And it's heartbreaking, because you just don't expect that to happen. And you're just like... And then you have to feel the emotion of Obi-Wan, because that was, his teacher, his mentor. And so he's over there behind, he can't even do anything because he's behind a freaking force field, and he can't even help his master, and he has to literally watch him die. So now he has to take revenge, and you see all of the emotion throughout it. It's like, and as you're waiting for the force field to go down, and they're both pacing back and forth, and their lightsabers are out, and you're just like, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And then wham, it comes down, and they go at it, and like
every motion's perfectly timed. It's great. And also, one of my personal favorite parts of that scene is like when the lasers first come up, like, and it splits up Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. And there's that scene where Qui-Gon kneels down and is just like patiently waiting, and Darth Maul's just pacing back and forth like a predator. I really love that scene.
Yeah, and then of course you have it where Obi-Wan like falls down the hole and like has holding on, lost his his lightsaber, and we all know that he lives, obviously, because we see him in episode 4, because we haven't seen episode 2 or 3 yet, but we see him in episode 4, so we know he lives. But we're like, how is he going to get through this? Like, how is Obi-Wan like going to? He doesn't even have a lightsaber. So here he is, uses the Force, jumps over this guy, and just cuts him in half.
So much for
Bam! Just done.
So much for the high ground.
You had to go there. So
I sure did.
So I just think that the movie it's got some really great scenes in it. It's got some great interesting things, and I mean, and you also see the whole like how you do get the background of how like the Sith started to play into how they started to get control, and how the dark side really started taking over the Jedi way before you thought. But overall, if we're gonna rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best and 1 being really bad, I don't know about you, but I'd probably rate this about like a 4.
Yeah, like the film itself, it's very boring, but like when it gets the really good stuff, it's really good. It's just there's so little of it throughout the whole film.
I've seen better films.
With the action, like I've seen worse films.
But
I've also seen much better films.
I have seen worse films, but I have seen far better movies. Yeah, and even far better Star Wars movies. But I've also seen worse Star Wars movies.
It's also just because it focuses so much on the political talk and subverting a lot of other things, like the midichlorian thing.
Right.
Like in the original trilogy, it was just the Force being this presence that was just around. But then this film was just like, okay, you have to have like this certain thing in your blood in order to use the Force. Yeah. And it just took away a bit from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And all this other added elements that just really stood out. That was just because George Lucas had way too much control of the film. I didn't have anybody going, no.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
No.
But at that point, he just had full control and could put whatever in he wanted. And it just went a little too far off the rails. So, like I said, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's certainly not a very good one. And it feels like it goes on forever and ever.
It does.
There was many countless times looking at the clock going, all right, come on, let's go. I got things to do.
There was one time we were watching it, and it was during one of those political scenes, because they were in the courtroom, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I look over, he's on his phone, I'm on my phone, and then next thing I know, he goes, where are we in this movie? And I look up and see where we are already even halfway through the movie. I went, this is going to be a long night. This is going to be a very long night. So yeah, that's just, that's
as
our
a whole,
thoughts.
If you kind of want to give them a rewatch, maybe watch it, but as a whole, starting out with the Star Wars movies, do not start with this one.
We're only starting here because we're going in chronological order.
Yeah, so we want to see the full Skywalker
rise
saga to the end.
You see what I did there? We want to see the whole Skywalker rise.
Yeah, you think you're clever.
I am clever. I'm very smart.
We want to start from the very beginning and seeing how the Skywalker saga fully plays out.
Yeah, that's just our thoughts. We'd love to hear your opinions and your thoughts on the movie. If you agree or you disagree, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, so you'll never miss another movie review or any other videos that we upload. And don't forget to hit the little bell too, because that'll notify you And share with your friends and your families. Like we said, we're just some two geeky people just making YouTube videos. So anyway.
Indeed. Also, leave a comment if you're also rewatching through all the Star Wars films like us and suffering through the prequels and all their very rough parts. And...
Or if you don't want to suffer and you want us to suffer for you, just watch these videos.
Just watch these. We'll give you a rundown.
We'll help you so you're ready for December.
Or go watch CinemaSins.
Or that. He's pretty good too.
But anyways, yeah. Thanks so much for watching.
Yep. Peace out.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
I sense much fear in you.
We're in big doo-doo now.